Sometimes the universe speaks to us in whispers. Sometimes it shouts. This is what happens when we finally listen. Melanie had been living the same day for 8 years. Wake up at noon, bartend until closing, sleep, repeat. Everyone expected her to marry Carter, her boyfriend since high school. Everyone expected her to settle down, have babies, become another face in the small-town crowd. But deep inside, something was screaming to run. 8 months ago, she had found the courage to dream, a school out of state, a chance to become someone new. She had researched apartments, imagined walking different streets, breathing different air. But when she told Carter, his silence said everything. This town was his world, and she was supposed to be content being part of it. So she buried the dream, deleted the bookmarked apartments, convinced herself that love meant sacrifice, that loyalty meant staying put. She told herself she was being mature, responsible, but late at night the dream would resurface, whispering, what if, what if, what if? Tonight started like any other shift. But then Philip walked through the door and Melanie's heart stopped. Her old friend, transformed by 2 years in the military. He carried himself differently now, like someone who had seen the world beyond these small-town walls. When he asked about her plans, she found herself admitting the truth she'd been hiding. Philip leaned across the bar, his eyes bright with stories of distant places. He spoke of mountains he'd climbed, cities that never slept, people who challenged everything he thought he knew. You don't realize how small your world is until you leave, he said. Then he looked directly into her soul and delivered the words that would change everything. You need to get out of here. Melanie's hands trembled as she finished her shift. Philip's words echoed in her mind like a bell that couldn't be unrung. She tried to push them away, to focus on closing duties, but the seed he'd planted was already taking root. As she gathered her things, she felt the first cracks forming in the life she'd convinced herself she wanted. Donnie slid into the passenger seat, and Melanie was grateful for the distraction. Her neurodivergent coworker had always been different, but in the best way. He saw things others missed, understood people in ways that sometimes unsettled her. Tonight they talked about everything except what was really on her mind. She thought she was hiding her turmoil perfectly. They reached Donnie's house, and he stepped out into the night air. Melanie was already shifting into drive when he leaned down to the window. His voice was gentle but certain, cutting through all her carefully constructed defenses. Hey, a word of advice, he said, looking directly into her eyes. Trust your instincts. Then he was gone, leaving her alone with the weight of truth. Melanie sat frozen in her car, mouth agape, staring at the empty street where Donnie had disappeared. The universe had just spoken to her twice in one night, and there was no pretending it was coincidence. Her instincts had been screaming for months, and she had silenced them with guilt and fear. But now, in this moment, she finally heard them clearly. The tears came like a dam bursting. All the months of suppressed dreams, all the nights of lying awake wondering what if, all the pieces of herself she'd sacrificed for the comfort of others. Melanie drove through blurred vision, her heart breaking for what she was about to lose, but also breaking free from what had been slowly killing her spirit. At home, Melanie sat on the edge of her bed, Carter sleeping peacefully beside her. In a few hours, she would have to shatter his world, disappoint their families, and face the terrifying unknown alone. The thought made her physically sick. But for the first time in months, she also felt something else stirring beneath the fear, the possibility of becoming who she was meant to be. As dawn broke over the small town that had been both her home and her prison, Melanie made a choice. She would trust her instincts. She would honor the signs the universe had sent her. It would be messy, heartbreaking, and terrifying. But for the first time in 8 years, she was choosing herself, The girl who had dreamed of mountains and cities was finally ready to meet them.